And we're live. Come and join me for a chat. Click the button on the screen or the arrow or whatever it is and come and chat to me on this cold Friday night. With Us is here. Us. How you doing, Osama? Mr. Baksh is here. 2 Yemenis in a row. Can we get a hat-trick of Yemenis? If another Yemeni jumps on next, I will go crazy. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Welcome. Why aren't you watching the boxing? I don't have the means. Have you got an illegal link? Are they in the ring yet? We could do like a watch along. Tonight, of course, is Francis Ngannou 0-1 taking on former unified heavyweight champion of the world Anthony Joshua. Why am I not watching it? I don't know. Should be. What time is the ring walk? It's my old Saj. You have requested and you are in. Where are you? I'm accepting it. I'm going live with him. It's happening now. Fade down the music. What's happened? 2 more fights before the main. 2 more fights. I'm pressing accept. I'm pressing go live, and nothing much is happening. Well, I'm going to cancel it, and I'm going to invite you, Saj. I don't know why. Saj was wondering if we could get more than 2 people on the screen. We're having a job even getting him, but here we go. Welcome. How are you, Sajid?
Yeah, good.
I like how you've got your name tag in case we forget. That's what every teacher needs, all the kids' names. Kids don't want to tell you their name these days. They don't want you to have the power. How are you doing?
That was very nostalgic. It took me back a couple of years.
I know. I stopped doing it out of fear of the copyright. We never got a copyright strike because it's a karaoke knockoff version of the original that I actually play. But, you know. Oh, look. There's another Yemeni. We've got 75% of the room are Yemeni, and Saj is making up the numbers.
I heard that if you have Yemen and tea, the subject of Yemenis and tea, you can go viral.
Yes, you can. Can we talk about Yemeni tea? So Karak, they call it Adani Shai. It's particularly from Aden. Yeah, there's a party today because well, I'm having a house party, as you can see. The family have left me. Saj, what country are you in? Because your channel, World for You, has been going viral, has been going everywhere. 1 minute you're in one part of Pakistan, and then the next you're in a different part of Pakistan. And then you're in Mexico. So where are you in the world, or are we not allowed to say?
Well, I was rushed back in an emergency way because George Galloway,
Yes.
My curiosity left.
If you'd
all
rushed,
the tacos.
we wish you
Yeah.
rushed to watch that. Can I just say that on your black superimposed onto your black jumper is a Yemen flag, but because your jumper's black, it looks like a Polish flag.
Yes.
Move down a little bit. Yeah, look, you're camouflaging the flag.
Yes.
That's probably true. Is that the Polish flag or the Indonesian flag? With Us, if he's still in there, is very good with flags. He goes around interrogating people on their flag knowledge, and when they get it wrong, he humiliates them in public. But I'm very good at flags. I want to take him on. You name a country, and I'll describe you the flag without the use of Google. Someone with an obscure name has joined the chat. Itms. I hate my Bruce. I can't read that. I'm too dyslexic. But yeah, what
nostalgia?
Yeah,
just a one thing.
The nostalgia. Go for it.
Modine has really, from the good old days of sleeping on a bench, which I think I have a picture of you. I have the good old days. I mean, the bad old days with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a picture of you and Modine, which could cost a lot of money now because he is hitting celebrity
You're
status. So
you're you're going to sit on that till he peaks, and then sell it to I don't know what newspaper would publicise him.
he's in
The
the
Guardian,
United States, probably the Daily Mirror, something very
Daily Mirror.
authentic, like the
Remember
Daily
News of the
Mirror.
World? What happened to them? Yeah, sit on that. Keep your powder dry on that one. But yeah, that was a random day that we hung out with Modine, and we were really looking forward to it. And I think they say you should never meet your heroes. I think he was just very tired. But anyway, you have been in Mexico. I've seen footage of you in. You've been to other Latin American countries, no?
I
Or is that
stopped in Brazil,
yeah,
Mexico, and Argentina.
Brazil?
Um,
Wow.
and right now, Mexico. Okay, let me ask you a question, right?
Go for it.
Whenever you buy something, you do at least a little research, right?
Usually, well, to be honest, not as much as I should.
Okay, yeah, no one really. We kind of getting over, but let's just say you will never know how good a product is until maybe, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe a month, right?
Yeah.
So answer this question: why? And this is for mainly Mexico here.
Okay.
Why is Claudia Sheinbaum already the best and she's amazing and she's the greatest when she hasn't even spent a day as president? Ain't you jumping the gun yet, or what?
Is she
She was
even
a mayor. She's a mayor. She's Jewish, by the way. Not that that matters, but it's just
okay? But that
very
is
broad.
that the first president for Mexico of a Jewish background.
Supposedly, yeah, but she was mayor before, and apparently, as a mayor, she didn't really do much of a great job. So when I was walking around getting an idea of what was going on, I was told that she's just a carry-on from the current president. So she's part of the same clan. So she's just picking up where he left off. Her opposition's very weak. It's like a crazy woman. I haven't researched who it is, but I just heard she's crazy. But Mexicans are very passionate and strong voters and fiery people. But at the same time, guys, after the voting, they left so much trash all over the street. And then it makes me wonder, what change do you really want?
If you can't keep the street tidy, is Mexico like a two-party system, like it is here, like it is in America, where it's one gets in, then the other, one, then the other?
You mean liberal and conservative?
Well, in the UK, generally Labour or Conservative. The Liberals will sometimes team up with one of the two to make a coalition, but I don't think we've ever had a Liberal
See, I
prime.
don't think George Galloway's kissed the Blarney Stone like I have.
The gift of the gab. Well, his Workers' Party are obviously newcomers. They wouldn't have enough candidates in all the areas to form a government. But he did say that anyone who is standing as an independent is welcome to team up with him. The guy that he beat into second place, Tully, who was a local unknown, not famous in any way, unknown to the press, who came second, who beat the Tories and Labour. And he said, look, I hope he'll work with me. So there's a lot of grassroots politics going on and people trying to break that mold. But for some reason, everywhere in the world, from even in Palestine, where it's a two-party system, the one that begins with H and the one that begins with F, we'll go with that for now, one or the other. In Reading, I remember clearly every 5 years the Pakistani Community Centre having an election, and there's just two rival factions that would go at it, and it got really heated. Either one or the other. Why do we go? What's the word? We go back to this binary system where we like one thing or another. Why not have many to choose from? There should be as many political parties as there are genders, but there isn't. There's only 2 political parties, and there's 1,000 genders. Some could say that should be the other way around. I don't know. Let's get Omar in. I hope this will not boot you out when I get him in. Let's try and...
Omar Professor?
This is Omar single T. I've clicked yes. I don't know if this is...
Come on, Omar, let's go. Let's get Riz in.
Here we go. Yeah, bring them all. Come one, come all.
In the house.
Here we go. I like the way I'm big at the top and you guys are below me. How you doing, Max? Welcome.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It's friends helping friends. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Nice to see you guys on the radio, on the TV, or whatever you're on. Regarding George Galloway.
Yeah, regarding. He does.
I'm not sure what the big deal is. This is one guy against the world, and he can do nothing. I was going to say
he can do nothing. Okay.
One guy against. Positive. In this regard, one person can't change the world. I agree, but in this regard, he can't do much. He's one man, and there's 400 other seats he needs for him to get anywhere near the government. And
so team up with him. You were running for mayor of Luton at one point, weren't you?
I was the mayor of Luton. I was the mayor of Luton, and he had a chance. The thing is, when he set up the Respect Party, I think he got about 7 or 8 seats, if I'm not mistaken, especially with Salma Yaqub. So he was doing really, really well, and he made some comments regarding women and so on, and that party unfortunately was dismissed with very quickly. But I still think he has power. Gorgeous George is still a great orator.
Day, by the way.
No one cares for men.
It's International Women's Day every day.
Is it?
Listen, Omar, one question. Was this before Tommy Robinson or after Tommy Robinson you was mayor of Luton?
Well, this is way before the Tommy Robinson incident, but this there used to be a program called The Mother of All Shows or something. Something as such.
The Mother of All Talk Shows.
Oh, it's still on. Well, it used to be on Talk Sport, and I remember Tommy Robinson calling up and saying, well, when we went to the Dal Road Community Centre, the same place I've just had an event the other day, he stated that he was separated. When he went there was segregation. Women had to sit on one side and men had to sit on the other side. And I was literally there. I saw Tommy coming in, and the man who was like the meter and greeter, what he assumed was Tommy was on his own. There was one seat in the front, and he guided.
Go on. It's National Women's Day. Go on.
I'm not sure if that's the Quran I can hear, but nevertheless, there wasn't any separation, any segregation at any of George Galloway's events. That was just somebody assumed he was on his own and guided him there. And with George Galloway, I wish him all the best. I hope he can get more seats. It's all about the seats. Even if he gets 5 seats, I think he can still collaborate with somebody in the future. So good luck to George, and good luck to yourselves as well.
And what about Anjem Choudhury? You must have one story about him in this.
Everyone's got an Anjem Choudhury story.
I had the pleasure of meeting Anjem Choudhury just down the road here in Bury Park, and I've always been a big fan of his. How he would toe the line, and he did toe the line for so many years, and until he mentioned the group I don't know
Let's
if I
go with
can,
initials. We go with initials on here.
yes, the I
That's it.
state.
Got it.
And what he really was insinuating is that there are states. This is like you could be in a state of sadness or a state of happiness. He said, this is the state of my religion, and he chose that group. And coincidentally, there was an organization that's happened to use the same title, same term, and that's his biggest problem. But I hope he gets back into the papers. He deserves it. He's a showman. He built up his name.
Yeah. And where is he now? Nowhere to be seen.
He's in a gag order, so he's not allowed to speak for another 2 years or so.
Wow. Gag order, bloody hell. Well, look, gentlemen, how are we going to celebrate International Women's Day? Let's get topical now. And who's your favourite woman?
For me, sorry, I'm taking all the time here, but for me, today I was walking past the town centre where they had a kind of memorial for Harriet Tubman. I thought it was an amazing thing what she did. She took all these people from the south straight to the north, and that's a big thing, risking her own life every single time. I think she made hundreds of trips, and she said, my biggest struggle wasn't bringing these people from the south to the north, and my biggest struggle was not telling them they're free. America.
Okay. And what era are we talking about? Good evening, Nisma and Marielle Monted, whose picture is a rude image of a gesture, but that's fine.
I've never had that before, rude image of a gesture, but I guess
can you not see the image? It's very small.
My eyes only see clean and beautiful and wonderful things.
Do you not? Okay, so well, look, Marielle, if you want to jump on and explain your hand sign.
She's Spanish speaking. She won't understand. She's Spanish speaking. She won't understand.
But you can translate, Sash. Sash, I heard you. You speak.
My favorite woman is Greta. My favorite woman is Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
Because she makes me feel like a woman.
Okay,
you've
stolen her dreams. Yeah.
She makes me care about the planet.
Well, let's have a look at the origins of International Women's Day. I think it was a Soviet thing. Am I wrong about that?
Really?
I've got a feeling that it came from the Soviet Union. I don't know why I think that. International, you'd think it would be like some kind of communist thing. International Women's Day is what it is a holiday celebrated annually on the 8th of March as a focal point in the women's rights movement. IWD gives focus to issues such as gender equality. Yeah. But when did it start? Let's go to the history. Origins. The earliest reported Women's Day event, called National Women's Day, was held on the 28th of February in New York. So had you been to New York?
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah, it was organized by the Socialist Party of America. Okay, so not from the Soviet Union. This is pre 1917 Russian Revolution, but it was from the Socialist Party of America, so the left-wing people over there, and they came about as a merger between the Social Democrat Party and the Socialist Labour Party. Okay,
and
so
the
left-wing thing.
And what a giant leap women have taken. That stride in the last 100 years from where they were to where they are today is incredible. Even when we started riding bikes as a form of transportation in the 50s and 60s, I recall people, I call reading them stating that, just a tad, reading their statement saying this is the most repugnant thing I have ever seen, a woman on a bike. And then it went to women working and the harassment they suffered in this country in the 1980s and so on. And for them now to be completely free, I feel, or some woman listening can challenge me, I'm sure, but for them to be free is really an incredible stride. And even with the black people, I was also listening to Radio 4, the archive hour, where the woman is saying that these people are like animals. Why should we sit next to them? They're coming from Africa. They smell, they stink. We have to sit with them on the bus. We have to sit next to them on the station, on the trains. But 20 years later, 30 years later, the same women, their children, their grandchildren have married these so-called people from Africa. And so it's a huge stride that they've taken, and I hope the LGBTQ plus also is able to be free and take the strides that it needs to.
It goes back to them. It always goes back to them.
River to the sea. Did you see the horrific incident that happened to a couple who were vlogging their way around the world, and they had a great time in several Islamic countries, and then when they reached India, something horrible happened, and the R word was done to her. Did you see that story?
Yeah, I saw it on
Mexican couple.
I saw it on Smile to Jannah, his post. I saw it there, but I thought the way he put it out was like, well, they were safe in Afghanistan, safe in Pakistan, safe in all these Muslim countries, and they come to a non-Muslim country.
That's how some people have portrayed it, yeah.
But that's not fair, because because these things will happen in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and in all the other 7 Muslim countries. They just thankfully it didn't happen to them, and it's just the people that they happened to come across in India that did that. Indians are good and bad, just like the Muslims are good and bad.
Do you think it's a bit poor taste to celebrate it as a win the day we didn't do something?
I saw a British couple.
Go on, Saj.
In Pakistan, a video of a British couple in Pakistan, and the lady goes, "He touched my bum," right?
Oh,
and then in my mind, I don't know if this is self-racism,
yeah.
but I was good luck trying to find out who it was, because everyone looks guilty.
Oh, dear, everyone looks guilty. Well, yeah.
She went around the crowd looking for them. The guy with her was looking, and he
what does a guilty person look like?
In that situation, everyone looked guilty in that area, in that neighborhood of Pakistan.
If I'm in a place and somebody does something bad to me, I want you to tell me how I can look back and see if that person's guilty, or if it's a crowd. What am I looking for?
They never lie.
Darker skin, darker eyes?
It's the eyes. It's the way they look, the chico, like the body language, the way they kind of
energy
react. Yeah, the energy.
Well, if you can tell by looking at somebody's body language and their eyes if they are guilty, then you need to give up your job and become a CID police chief inspector, because we need you, and come back to the UK if you're not here.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's a good point. Yeah, Saj, I was going to ask you something, but I've forgotten now.
I have a question. Did you, in your visit to the USA, did you visit Ground Zero?
Me? You mean where Twin Towers was now?
Yeah.
Why?
Did you feel what I felt when I was there? There was this kind of, I think the word is, correct me if I'm wrong, Julian, is the word macabre.
Macabre. Yeah, that sadness.
Yeah. Did you feel that sadness? Were you able to feel this? The sadness?
Not as much as George Bush did. Wink, wink.
Was it palpable?
It was eerie. It was kind of emotional. Like, when I went to Germany, I went to the Holocaust Museum, and I've been to Alcatraz. There's eerie feelings you get because it's what you're standing in. All of that history and all of that type of energy is a bit weird. But one place I want to tell you guys about was Area 51. I didn't exactly go in there, of course, but there was like a trip, and They pick you up in a little van, and the guy that picks you up, I think he was an Iranian guy, very into conspiracy theories. And he takes you to the border, and on your way there, the floor tracks the cars, like the floor tracks the speed, which car you're coming in, and everything. And all of my photos and videos were, check this out, got corrupted. My media got corrupted, like from that section. I had them, I took them, and then everything got deleted remotely somehow. The rest of my videos and photos were fine. It's a little town called Rachel, Nevada. And here's a funny story. Like there's a post box. There's a story. It's a black mailbox, and a lot of conspiracy theories would come and yeah, a black mailbox there.
Okay.
And conspiracy theorists would come and ransack it and damage it and vandalize it because they thought it'd have alien stuff in there. And there was this poor guy that lived 30 kilometers away that used to have to drive and get his mail, but every time he'd come, there'd be no mailbox there.
Oh dear. Did you see the conspiracy theorist smashed up the Georgia Guidestones? Do you know them?
No.
So the Georgia Guidestones were this like monument with a very sort of New World Order list of ideas saying keep the world's population under 500 million. I can't remember the rest of it, but like people leapt on that. Look, they want to lock us down. They want to control us. This is some kind of prophecy, some kind of prediction. And in the end, some of the conspiracy theorists smashed it up, and they are no more. Wow. The Georgia Guidestones. I did have a video about it on the channel, but yeah, similar sort of. Well, we've got people smashing things up over here for certain reasons, rightly or wrongly. There will always be the mob mentality.
Well, yeah, but earlier you mentioned the bad thing that happened to the people who went over to India.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering and hoping and asking you guys that can we not have a country in this world, whether be it Islamic or any other religion, I don't care. How sure are people what color their skin is, what religion they're, who cares? Can we not have one country in this world that is free from the R word and the M word and every other word? Can we not have some places, is there an area in this world where I can go and know that, hold on, people here, the closest I felt that peace or tranquility where I felt, hold on, nothing bad is happening here, is in Medina. I went to Saudi Arabia in Medina 3 or 4 in the morning, and I felt that it was very peaceful, but I also know just, a few roads down the road, anything can be happening. But
I disagree. Riz, my friend, I'm not even lying now. He went there with his sister-in-law to the markets, and men were being so pervy that he literally had to punch one in the end because it was getting too much. It's sad, but even in the most holiest places.
So what was he? He was punched for looking.
He goes.
So your friend Riz was the looking police.
No. It wasn't even that. It was like there's looking, and then there's kind of like really like disgustingly like. I've been with family members in Pakistan that are covered up, and even when they're covered up, sometimes it looks like they want to look more. Men in these parts of the world are a bit too much.
I don't know if the men are really like that. I think it's different cultures. It's cultures that we're not used to. When I walk through the streets of Tokyo, and I almost get, especially when I go to Masuta over there, that area, people look at me in the similar sort of way. Now, granted, I'm not a woman, so they get this different kind of look. And also, that look, is that not exhibited towards them in this country? When a woman walks down the road here, is she not gawled and looked upon in a similar manner? Or do the men here, do we do it surreptitiously? In a clandestine way? Yeah, do we do it in a way where we make sure they don't know? Over there, it's a cultural thing. So they haven't seen, if you haven't seen a green person, for example, and you are green and you're walking down the road, we are going to stare at a green person, aren't we? So similarly, in some parts of the world, they haven't seen white people. And I always say this to my white English friends: get your white asses over to the east, in places like Asia and East, but even in Kenya and other places, that you will be superstars. So I think anyone has the right to look at anyone. If I don't like you staring at me and I'm walking down the street, I can turn the other way. I can go into a different direction. Interesting you mentioned covering up, and they still stare. If I'm covered up, I wouldn't care. If I have something on my face, I don't care. Although I don't support the burqa. I don't support it, I must admit. But if somebody's covered up, that's their right. They can cover up. And if others look at a covered up person, what difference does it make? If you're wearing a mask and I'm looking at you, what difference does it make?
It's the way
None.
they stare that was a bit pervy. It's a bit too lustful. Do you know what I mean? It's not respect, especially if a man's with the girl. Like, it's so disrespectful.
It can be, but for us to be the reckless eyeballing, if we brought that law back, which was called reckless eyeballing, when the black people would look at white women in America, and they were lynched, jailed, even they were hung by the trees. When it was stated that you looked at this white woman, and this is reckless eyeballing. So we can never be in a position, I don't think we can go backwards in life. If somebody's looking, they can look. Personally, I don't care. You can look. I can't really hold that person responsible for looking, even if it's in a pervy way. But yeah, if he says something inappropriate, if he touches somebody or does something else, then yeah, then it's on. But I think it was unfair for your friend Riz to go and punch somebody in the marketplace when somebody, all they did was look.
Did you see the robot in Saudi Arabia that touched someone inappropriately?
So it's not just humans then, huh?
Yeah, not just humans. Some automated robot looks like a man, and it touched the woman inappropriately in Saudi Arabia, of all places. Do you want to hear a little bit more from Riz? Name that song. Where's it kicking? There you go. This is his old stuff. I haven't updated my library yet, but it's all on there. Always.
What would your reason be for not liking the burqa? I don't have no views on it. I'm like neutral, but
you said you don't support it. Why don't you support it?
I don't support it because of the safety aspects. Does anyone? We had a major incident, and even before that, I didn't really support it. I think there is a lot of, health
and safety. That's a good reason to ban.
Yeah, I mean, I could wear a burqa and do anything. You wouldn't know my identification, But similarly, I could wear a scarf. I could have my face covering. But if it's a woman, then we don't think anything of it. We don't think that she's hiding something. We think it's a normal kind of Muslim obedient woman. So one reason is safety. Second is in the Holy Quran. I can't find it anywhere where it states that wear the burqa. Thirdly, this is clear-cut a cultural thing. Fourthly, you cannot deny that a lot of men do force those girls to wear that. It's undeniable. And fifthly, where we live in this country, it just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel like, although I would hate it if somebody changed their clothing because of what I think, but my number one reason is the safety aspect. We just don't, we can't take that chance. Now, I've had personal experiences where somebody's life could have been lost because of what the woman was wearing. We could have caught her before, all these issues. So I'm going to go for that number one reason, the safety aspect. That it's just such a big risk. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, what sort of risk is it? But unless you're in that situation, you won't understand. So it's just a gamble that we shouldn't really take. Chapter 5, verse 32.
Salafi Muslims.
I'm sorry?
What do you think about Salafi Muslims?
Well, I mean, I love Muslim people. I mean, you know, you just got good and bad wherever you go. I love everyone from every religion. You just got that evilness. Now, I spoke to a man regarding the R word when I looked at a story in Pakistan, and a person, you know, I think was he was an imam, and he did this terrible thing to a child, and he chopped her up, and it was a disgusting thing. Now, Ramadan, it was so this was an imam. The
Yeah.
imam is praying, he's leading his prayers, he's teaching people the Quran, everything. Even though he was doing everything that was Islamic, even though he was doing that, he could not prevent himself from doing such a terrible thing to a child. Yeah. So when I mentioned this to this man, he was from Pakistan. His response was, "Well, do things of that nature not happen here?" And they do happen here. But I thought the Quran was from God. I thought, you know, so if you're a Muslim, there's a different level of judgment towards you. You're not just any Tom, Dick, and Abdul walking down the street. There's a different. If you're a Muslim, you claim to be a follower of Prophet Muhammad, the greatest man supposedly that ever lived. Now, if you follow this man, you can't just be a, you know, flippy floppy Muslim. You just cannot do this evil thing. So it's not the same. So there's a man walking down the street of England. He does exactly the same evilness that was meted out upon that young girl in Pakistan. There's a huge difference. This man doesn't have Prophet Muhammad. He doesn't know Salafi. He doesn't know Abu Bakr. He doesn't know Surah Al-Fatiha. He doesn't know anything. So he's just one guy doing this thing. But Islam couldn't prevent that man from doing that. So I think, you know, Muslims have to look at the aspect of humanity. We've got to look at, we are human beings, and we love good human beings regardless of their religion.
Well said, Omar. That's powerful. And I appreciate your message. I appreciate how we're using code when we need to, gentlemen. Well done. I remind you, it is International Women's Day or Women's Day. There was a little detail. I knew there was something to do with the Soviet Union. 1917 in Petrograd, women textile workers began a demonstration that eventually engulfed the whole city, demanding bread and peace and an end to World War I. This marked the beginning of the February Revolution alongside the October Revolution made up the Russian Revolution. Revolutionary leader Leon Trotsky wrote 28th of February in their calendar, which equates to the 8th of March, was International Women's Day, and meetings and actions were foreseen. But we did not imagine that this Women's Day would inaugurate the revolution. So they kind of tying in their revolution with International Women's Day. No wonder the people on the left enjoy International Women's Day. It was also International Book Day, I think the day before, and my son went to nursery. We tried to get him to go as Spider-Man, but the trousers wouldn't fit, so he ended up being the Gruffalo. And Saj, did you dress up as any character for International Book Day?
I don't think
World Book Day.
it was a thing when I was younger. I don't remember.
The first one was in 1997. So that's probably why it passed you by. But if you were to dress up as a character from a book,
I'll dress up as a Palestine flag.
There's many books. That book is still being written, but that's a good shout. I every year I like to go as the main character from my own autobiography. And Omar, who's your character?
Before I get to that, you mentioned bread and peace. They were asking for bread and peace. Is that correct? Yeah.
Let them eat cake. One of those men.
All my life regarding the Irish people, there was a famine, potato famine, in Ireland.
Some people get offended when you call it a famine, but it was sort of an imposed, man-made famine because there was enough food, but the English took it and sold it and left them with only potatoes when the crop failed.
But there was a shortage of potatoes.
Yes, well, there was a blight that affected the potatoes that the poor Irish were forced to survive on,
Yeah.
And when that failed, the good
So
food was
Sinead
exported.
O'Connor, her video resurfaced, and I always thought, hey, how could it just? They must have really loved chips for them to become completely dependent on just potatoes, and there must have been something else. But you're absolutely right. There was other food, but it was taken. Was there a tax on there, or it was just taken to England?
Yeah, it was exported by force. And the only country, or one of the only countries that intervened to help against the will of the Queen Victoria at the time, was the Muslim Ottoman Empire. They wanted to send a certain amount of aid. They were told, no, you can't do this, it will humiliate the Queen. And in secret, they sent ships with food, and they disobeyed Queen Victoria's request not to help the starving Irish. That's why one of the football teams, I think in Drogheda, maybe north of Dublin, their emblem is like the crescent for the flag, the Turkish flag, which was
also
the
in
Ottoman.
some rugby team has a crescent.
Saracens, probably.
Might be Saracens, yeah.
Meaning the North African Arab and Berber people. Yeah, there's lots of romanticizing the East.
But it's an English team, isn't it, Saracens?
I wonder what because there's Crusaders, and I guess Saracens must be their rivals. That's just occurred to me now. So there's lots of harking back to this time of the Knights Templar, and of course the people that went there, although they went to defeat the Muslims, people say they took a lot of wisdom from the Muslims. Some of them got into mysticism that was going on out there, and the Knights Templar and the Freemasons would have been expelled from the church. You can't be a Freemason and a Roman Catholic, because I think they were excommunicated from the church because they were dabbling in Eastern mysticism. And there are Islamic branches of the Freemasonic Lodge. So there.
Wow,
veganism.
That's a shock right there. Saj, I want to ask you, if I may, you have been around the world, you've seen the world, you've seen people everywhere. You've had experiences, incredible life experiences, I bet. Tell me, sir, if you will, where was the best place you went, and where were the best people you met?
This was going to go back to earlier on. I was going to answer your question about where was safety really recognized. I don't know if you've been to Indonesia or the Philippines. Them type of places, in terms of hospitality, people, maybe because it's me in the sense of I stand out there a little, because it's like you said earlier on, if a white guy goes to Pakistan, not that much nowadays because so many white guys are going to Pakistan. But when Julian went with Mo Ali 20 years ago, he was the first white man to go to Pakistan. From my personal experience, it would probably be Mexico because of how I get along with a lot of people there. But from a second, that's just me being biased to what I like. Well, it answers the question in some ways as well. But like, I would say if a person right now in 2024 is fed up with life in England or fed up with life and just totally upset and needs a break but wants to be around people, whether they're an introvert or extrovert, I would say somewhere around the Far East, around that region of Philippines and the and Indonesia is South Africa actually even as well. But with South Africa, be a little bit careful if you're what they called colored person, because the
person of color. Saj, get with the times. We'll get complaints. Person of color.
Person of color there, because the blacks, the darker skin, they will be racist to you. It's just how it is over there. I felt a little racism.
In which country is that?
South Africa.
Okay. Well, we know that. Are you saying who will be a victim of racism in South Africa?
Like
Black
The
people.
non-blacks.
no, the
Non-black.
non-blacks. So
Okay,
it's
well,
kind of
okay.
changing.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess you can understand after decades of it being the other way around and apartheid. But I hope South Africa is emerging from that as a rainbow nation. You've been out there, Triple T. What direction is it
Well,
going in?
I was in Rondebosch, Cape Town. I never had any problems whatsoever, but I have spoken to people who live in Johannesburg. They are Pakistani origin people, and they told me that when they see a black man after 5 o'clock walking in their area, in anywhere near their shops, they would all collectively get out and kick the living daylights out of him.
Whoa.
So there is this kind of thing going on there, but Johannesburg is probably one of the most dangerous places in the world. So I guess maybe it's expected. It's not such a huge deal of that happening. But what Mandela did is he saved many lives. He did a great thing by showing mercy. But the problem was he gave clemency. So what that means is all those people that had wronged black people, all those white people that wronged black people, were never held to account. You know, and when you
Well,
read some of their stories of how one black mother said that they just for fun, these people tied up her son and dragged him and linked him to a horse or a car, but and you hear all this, and they have clemency, so they detailed everything. They have immunity. They detail, we did this on this day at this time, and there's the body, and so on. And he said, no, everyone's forgiven. And I think that you cannot forgive.
how do you move? How do you move on? George Galloway, who we spent
by not
several days
forgiving.
last week, he spent time in South Africa on behalf of the ANC as something of an underground agent. He was beaten by a white police officer of a Scottish background, ironically, and as punishment for that, or recompense, or what's the word clemency, that police officer had to wash his feet in public, apparently. So that was some kind of symbolic punishment or humiliation in order to make things right. So he did talk about forgiveness and reconciliation, but there's got to be some kind of resolution, right?
A couple of months ago, I was in Morocco, seated watching the beautiful sunset in Tetuan.
You carry on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, carry on.
And I was slapped. I just felt a slap right across my face, a full, forceful slap that moved me ahead. And the issue there was mistaken identity. So they had thought I was some Moroccan guy, and I took a huge slap in the face. When I turned around to confront the person who slapped me, it was a police officer. And he, as soon as he saw me, he was unbelievably apologetic. Now what should be my reaction? Should I attack him? No. Show mercy, it's okay. But then to take a life and then be shown mercy? No, that's not right.
Yeah. I had this experience in Mexico once where I was mistaken. Well, no, I don't think I was mistaken identity. I think it was just they didn't like me, and the police just kind of bum rushed me. It was like a big crowd of people, and they came for me, and I was like totally shocked. Like, what's going on here? So I arguing back with them, and they were just didn't like the way I was standing around grinning. Like that was literally it. So they were just basically looking for an excuse to just mess with me. And then like they, the force of about 15, because normally over there, like, well, in most countries police work in packs, right? But 15 to 20, and that's not even an exaggeration, that was literally they usually are like that over there. If they're coming for you, they're coming with a big squad in Mexico City. And then what they did is they pushed me to, like, they dragged me by my kind of like a schoolboy, dragged me across the kind of like throughout the crowd, and then they took me to like this and just dumped me somewhere. But I was like, what was that about? Like, you know what I mean? Was it just the fact that I was standing there and you know they didn't like me just standing around there when there was hundreds of other people standing there. Why did I get
Sounds
victimized?
like
So
you're in a protest.
it wasn't. It was in a It was actually in a It was actually in the Zocalo where they have like concerts, and I'm not a concerty, crowdy type of guy, but I was moving through there just to see what the vibe was that night, just because I was in tourist mode, and it was just one of those things where I think I know what it was because the female police officers were chatting to me, and over there the women can be like a bit come across quite flirty as well, and the policemen probably didn't like that. They get quite hot-headed over there.
Mm,
I think it was
yeah.
probably a little bit of
I think it was
that, but
Malcolm X's grandson who was killed whose name was also Malcolm Shabazz in Mexico, by the bar that he was frequenting, and they killed him because he was talking to those women. So just by talking, as you mentioned, it could be seen as kind of, there's a little bit of that thing going on, and because of that, the bar owner attacked him and took his life.
yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, like going abroad, like as a tourist, you can kind of like put I noticed that you can like jump on the back of a motorcycle with someone that just tells you he can take you somewhere, and just your trust levels kind of go a
Yeah,
bit open. It's a bit
yeah.
weird.
Especially when you look Mexican as well. They just probably, if they knew you were a foreigner, they wouldn't have done this.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The good, like, so in Brazil, like, I recently had an incident. It's a bit of a long story, but I got into a fight with a couple of guys, and I never felt like, for me, yeah, as like, so like being our age, and if you saw three youngsters in their 17, 18-year-olds coming up to you, bothering you, and you don't have to get involved, but at least no one helped, basically. And there was like hundreds of people to help, and I was outnumbered. So I had to fight, and I really had to fight because I had no choice now, because this was the only language that these thugs wanted to talk. They didn't want to talk normal. They wanted to rob me, and it got into that situation. So in the end, thankfully, nothing, it kind of worked out in my favor. But they basically, I couldn't believe the lack of just no one caring, because it's so common for this to happen in Brazil. And it's like people leave you alone. They're like, I'm not getting involved in that. But you're like, yo, like this is your country, you know what I mean? But it's kind of that factor of poverty, and you're looked at as some sort of
Right.
gringo guy that they're just kind of like, oh, well, who cares, you know? But I've never felt such an unwelcoming kind of like vibe like this, where a whole place can see someone getting attacked and no one's helping. It's wrong,
I
man.
think, that does happen. On India, I saw a clip where a young woman went to a Christian meeting. She didn't become Christian, she just went to the meeting to see how it was. And
Mm.
on the streets, people grabbed her and they set her alight as she's asking people for help. She's saying, look, help me.
Wow.
And are you still there?
Yeah. We buffer.
Serge, I'm losing. Omar's buffering. Just as I came back, just as it was getting exciting, and he's gone. Oh, I wonder what he was about to say.
We was talking about India, like we was talking about how people, like, sometimes if you're getting attacked or whatever, like in a situation in a country, in a city, and no one really cares, you know. It's like the police are corrupt
Everyone's looking the other way.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
When was the
Happens.
last time you went to Speaker's Corner?
I popped in to see Haikoku maybe 6 months ago, probably even
Is it the
longer
same
than that.
characters there? Veterans now. Veterans.
Apparently, it's really dead at the moment.
Oh, no.
I might go and bring it back to life.
Yeah.
You've got to be the change that you want to see in the world. So, mate, yeah, if you're up for it, bring your camera when you're in the UK, and we'll would create something. I think I would do things differently if I went back there now. I would, like when you go back to somewhere, knowing what you know now,
Yeah.
you know how to. If you went back to school now, you would do things very differently. Last news story of the night, bit of a controversial one. The picture of Lord Balfour in Trinity College, University, Cambridge, has been trashed by Palestine Action. I don't know if it's a terrible way to do it, but there's somebody trashing the painting of Lord Balfour because this is Lord Balfour who made the Balfour Declaration that declared in 1917 that Palestine would become not a Jewish state, but rather a Jewish homeland, and nothing was meant to be done that would compromise the local Palestinian population. But of course, in the end, what happened, and Palestinians were expelled in their hundreds of thousands and have been living in exile, suffering occupation ever since. So yeah, that's Lord Balfour, whose picture was trashed today. Is it right? Should you deface? Look at that. They're slashing it as well. Slashing it. I don't know. Maybe that's what needs to be done. When will people listen? It's better than using violence against human beings, I suppose.
I mean, these historical figures have actually imprinted their footprint into what's happening today by saying something or actioning something. So I think it's right in the sense of if you want someone to blame, go back in history and time and find something of someone's and express what you feel about it as activists. Even though people, there was not long ago, well, quite a while ago now, I guess. I think it was the Black Lives Matter movement, but when they were just constantly targeting statues and murals and things of famous leaders.
That's right.
Winston Churchill, he's another guy that is looked at as some hero, but he said some real terrible things over time.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Saj, I'm going to try and catch this boxing live stream somewhere.
Oh, do you want me to send you a link? I have to send you a link. I got some.
It's all legit. It's all fully paid for and legal. I will catch you shortly. I'll upload this and tag you in it. And thank you very much.
Yeah. What about Omar? He went missing halfway through the conversation. What a Riz thing to do.
I know. We'll get Riz involved next time. Thanks for joining me, Saj. Catch up soon, bro. See you.